know, sometimes we'll just watch. See waiting room, let people in. Admit. Yeah. Oh, see, you're trying to get logged in now. Yeah, right. All right. We're gonna wait. There's Ann. We're going to get
some Zoom technical issues, and we will be starting in about a minute.
Are you coming back up here, Mom?
And admit. If I can talk up there, can I?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you can come here.
You just make sure you admit all this.
Well, you can bring her up.
Okay. So Ann, am I unmuted? So can you guys hear me? Raise your hand if you can hear me, Maria Slusser.
Yeah.
Yep, you can?
You're good.
Love it. Yep. Okay, so first of all, thank you for participating. This is Lydia Sutton's second of 2 defensive clinics for the greater Minnesota lacrosse community, hosted by MS Lax. And having had the privilege of coaching Lydia from 4th grade, I can just tell you that, you know, for you to really take in what she has to say, because she is a national celebrity, a local celebrity, a great person, and an amazing lacrosse player. So today what we're focused on is 1v1 defense. And the mindset here is that you are the defense, and your mindset needs to be that you're not going to let anyone get past you. So the focus here is on footwork. Everything we're doing today and Lydia's doing in the backyard will be things that you can do with 0 equipment. You can use Crocs as a cone. You can, so you can do all of this by yourself out back. And the emphasis today will be fast feet. Basically, defense is 90% feet, 10% stick. Lydia's got some of the fastest feet out there, but even as fast as she is, she needed to get faster feet. So it's all about footwork. It's about explosive first step. It's about lateral movement in defense. And the only other plug I want to put in here is that, you know, everyone needs to be defensive minded. Everyone needs fast feet. Lydia's bio is extraordinary. She started in 4th grade. And we knew then that she was a special player. She went on to play at Blake and won 5 consecutive state championships at the Blake School. She was heavily recruited out of Minnesota and ended up picking University of Southern California, where she was an absolute standout player with multiple Defensive Player of Pac-12 awards. She was a Tewaaraton watch list player as a defender from Minnesota, which was very exciting for us. She then went on to play internationally with Team Canada, where she brought home, I think, a silver and a gold. Is that true, Liz? Gold,
yep.
I know.
2 silvers and a gold.
One of the youngest to ever play on Team Canada. And then she was drafted to play professional lacrosse. And if that doesn't sound exciting, understand this. Not only was she drafted as a, you know, kid from Minnesota, but she was the first defender to go in the draft. So you're, you know, ask questions, make sure you're paying attention, because she is the best of the best, and right here from our own backyard. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Lydia, and at the very end we'll have about a 5 to 8 minute Q&A, and I'll let Lydia take it from here.
Cool. Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, good. Okay, perfect. All right, so we will be doing a couple of different things. A lot of it is focused on footwork. So I'm going to try and stand back here so you can kind of see everything that I'm doing. And then I will actually have Ann Slusser, who is Maria's daughter, kind of be my little assistant, my little sidekick, and kind of help us walk through some of the things too. But just before we kind of jump into it, I just want to let you guys know that, you know, all of this stuff is stuff that you can do on your own in your backyard using like 5-10 yards of space, and kind of, you know, work on this on your own time. And we will be using a ladder. If you don't have a ladder, like, you don't have to do it right now, but you don't have a ladder, you can always use like multiple lacrosse sticks. You can use cones. I know people have used shoes as kind of those markers of those areas you're stepping in. So you can kind of make it work with what you have. So the first thing that we're going to be doing here is ladder drills. And as Maria said, it's a lot of defense is about, footwork and having those quick feet. And I think that ladder drills are kind of that first step into getting those quick feet. So I'll just kind of run through some things and kind of show you, different ladder drills that you can do. You're more than welcome to do them as well, or you can kind of take notes and do this at a later time. Totally up to you on what you're comfortable with and kind of what you want to do. So the first thing that I'll do is going to be just 1 foot in at a time. And it's going to be 1 foot all the way through. And you'll see that I have a cone kind of placed out at the end there, kind of close to the end of the camera at the bottom. So the key thing here is going to be those quick feet in the ladders, but then you're exploding out and then you're breaking down and approaching the cone as if it's an attacker. So for example, we'll start 1 foot in. So start going slow through, explode out and break down here. One thing to note as well, so if you watch Anne kind of go through, you might have one hand on the stick like I did, or you might have 2 hands on the stick like Anne did. Both are okay to do in this drill, especially because there's different scenarios in which you would have 2 hands or 1 hand. If you're going through with 1 hand, you're kind of mimicking going through the 8 meter. You've got ball and girl. You're kind of being big and showing that presence. If you have 2 hands, you're more likely like on someone, you're kind of approaching them immediately right there. So it's kind of up to you on what you want to do, but they're both really great. As long as you're kind of focusing on why you're doing each one, not just going into a habit of them. So as you'll see, Anne went through, she's going quick feet. We'll go 1 at a time again. So 1 each of them, approaching, breaking down, and you'll notice that she's approaching at an angle. And that's what we really want to focus on as we're breaking down, is that we want to kind of force our attacker to take one way, and we're okay if they do take that lane, because that means that we are ready for them to take that lane. So we're really working on that quick step out, really quick explosive step, and then those quick feet to break down, and then hold that sturdy ground. Be really strong in your stance there. So let's watch Anne do it one more time. Yeah, she'll approach the other side now. Good. Yep. See, same thing. She's approaching with her right foot forward to force that attacker to go to the left side. And you'll notice how it's not completely open, like to the side, because that would just let them have a lot more free reign. Oh, you can't see me. A lot more free reign to kind of take more of what they want, and picking that they want them to go this way. And that's the only option they're really getting, is to go this way. And it's okay. Like as defenders, we sometimes get down on ourselves when we get beat or taken one way. We're giving them this lane to take that way, and that's okay if it happens. It's good if they take that. So that was just 1 foot in, and you can, I guess with 1 foot it doesn't matter, but we like to kind of say, if you're starting with your right foot, maybe choose to approach with your right foot forward. And then if you're starting with your left foot, choose to approach with your left foot forward, just so you kind of are making sure that you're doing both. This next one, we will do 2 feet in at a time, and Anne will start with her right foot in, and then she will also approach with her right foot at the cone. So she'll force them to the left side. So same thing, just 2 feet in, quick feet, and approaching, breaking down. Yeah, that's perfect. And another thing to note too, as you're going through the quick feet, is you do want it to be quick, but you want it to be controlled. So if you need to slow it down to just kind of, get into the rhythm, or make sure that you're not, stepping all over the ladder, that's totally fine. It's at your own pace. And that's why these are so great, is because you can do it at any time on your own time. And so slowing down, making sure that you're getting your feet all the way up and you're staying light on your toes. We don't want to be going through heavy footed like this, because on defense, you need to be light on your toes so you can kind of react to what's going on around you. All right, so let's see Anne do this again. She'll approach with her left foot. Perfect. Yeah. So again, I mean, these will look kind of pretty repetitive, but it's really focusing on those quick steps inside and then getting that explosive speed out. And then that last thing is breaking down and getting that positioning that you want, and kind of, in your mind, imagining that this cone is an attacker and that they are going to be taking you. So you're kind of approaching as if you're going to make that contact. You're going to force them down. You can even backstep off the cone if you would like, just to kind of mimic what a game-like situation might look like. Let's see. Let's have you go through 2 feet one more time, and you can do it. Yeah, let's have you pretend that like you're forcing the girl this way to me. So she's gonna approach, and then she's gonna drop step as if the attacker's taking her this way. So notice how when she dropped step 2, she kept that angle. She didn't drop open to kind of give them that lane, and she didn't close it off too much to be flat. You wanna maintain that angle that you're giving them, because then you're forcing them down, but also outside of like where the goal would imaginably be, right behind where Anne is. Okay. So, Icky. Okay. So this next one is the Icky Shuffle. I don't know if everyone knows this. It's a pretty common one, but you're starting on the outside. So Anne will start to the left of the ladder. She's gonna go 1 foot in, other foot in, 1 foot out, other foot out, and then you're gonna go diagonal up to the next square. 1 foot in, 1 foot in, other foot out, like that. And so you kind of takes a little bit to sometimes get into the rhythm of it all. But as you kind of get that kind of jumping down, it's super fun. You can go super fast, and I think it's just a fun one to do for sure. So those will do the same thing. So Anne will start leading with her right foot. She's going through super fast. She's floating out and approaching with her right foot and dropping back. So that was perfect. Making sure, especially with that breakdown, you want to make sure that you're in like a good, like I said before, the good strong stance. I think a lot of times it's easy to break down and just kind of be upright. We want to be in that low seated position, have our arms big and strong, ready to make that contact. And then as we're drop stepping, we're light on our toes. We're not crossing our feet. We're taking little steps as we're following back. So let's do that again. Go left foot first. I think it was the wrong way. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, exactly, and the same thing. So, and you'll notice how Anne a lot of times, is big with her arms, and when she has one hand on, she has her other hand up. Everyone does everything differently, but I think especially if you're doing ball and girl, it makes you look a lot bigger, and you kind of got, one hand pointing ball, one hand pointing girl, and you kind of already, where everything is on the field when you have those 2 hands up. So we're still looking athletic when we have one hand on our stick. But then you'll also notice as she's exploding out and approaching, she's getting those 2 hands back on right away. We don't want to approach our attacker with one hand. That kind of puts us at a disadvantage. So make sure you're having 2 hands. We're strong, we're up, and we're big. Let's go one more time, Icky Shuffle. Sure, 2 hands. Perfect. All right. So again, so same thing. It's a little bit repetitive, but the more you do this, the more you're getting quicker with your feet. You're getting more explosive out, and you're working on that breakdown. It all just becomes so natural to you that you don't really have to think about it as you're doing it in the future. So this next one we'll do is going to be starting on the side of the ladder, and we're going to start with our leading foot in. So you'll do leading foot into the square, back foot in, and then leading foot out, and we're going to move our way up the ladder like that. And then we'll turn and explode out, approach the way that you, so Anne will kind of C-cut out for her approach, which is a really big thing that defenders focus on, is that C approach. So she'll explode out, come over here, and then break down her feet. So we're always approaching at an angle. We don't ever want to approach just straight on, because again, that gives that attacker the option to kind of choose before we even have set what angle we want them to go. So I'll start right foot in, leading foot in. Good. Yep. So Again, I think this one's kind of fun too because it's pretty quick. You're just moving little steps to the side, and it's working a lot on your lateral movement too, which is really huge on defense. You're doing a lot of side movement, probably more than you are doing, going forward and back a lot. You're moving laterally majority of the time on defense. So working on this kind of movement is really good for you, really key for making those quick feet. Yeah. And as you get more comfortable with these kinds of ladder drills too, as you've, gone through them maybe for like a week and you're kind of trying to, what can I do next to kind of challenge myself? That next thing is to kind of try not to look at the ladder. And it's hard. I've got to be honest, like personally, I struggle with that too. But it's important that you're able to kind of know what's going on at your feet, but be able to see everything that's going on in front of you. So you can see ball, you can see girl and all of that. And so that's a way that you can really challenge yourself, is to try not to look down at the ladder because it's there, and just kind of think in your mind, where is this? And then even if you need to slow it down, that's totally fine, but trying to keep your head up as you're going through, and then exploding out again and approaching. So that was leading with your lead foot. This next one we're going to do same thing. You're starting on the side, but you're going to start with your back foot. So you're going to lead in with your back foot, step with your front foot, step out with your back foot, step out with your front foot, and you're going to kind of cross over. So it's a little bit awkward and kind of a little bit more difficult. You have to think about it a little bit more. But again, we're working on all different ways that we would, maybe move our feet in a game. So we'll do this one here. Perfect. Good. Yeah. Can you do it again? Go a little bit slower. So back foot in, front foot in. Yeah. And kind of get into a little bit of a rhythm with it. As with all of these, you'll get into a little bit of a rhythm. But this is just as important as the other one that we did, if not more, because it's a little bit more awkward and uncomfortable to do. So practicing it more will just make it feel a little bit more natural when you actually do something like that in a game-like setting. Yeah, you can do it on that side too. So leading back foot. And notice how Anne's not taking these huge steps when she's stepping in. She's just taking little steps. It's maybe like 6 inches up and back. We don't need to be, taking huge steps and kind of getting off balance. We're really on defense. We really need to focus on those little steps so that we are always on our toes. We're light and we're ready to move any direction that we need to. So having that balance is really big. The next one is the skiers. So skiers is same thing. We're starting on the side. It's similar thing, starting with your lead foot, but instead of stepping in, you're going to be alternating feet. So you'll be jumping in and out. Your feet are switching in the air as you move up the ladder. Let's see, Anne, can you go slow? You can do either. So Anne had a question where if you switch every time, like if you only do one foot in one box, you can do either. How I do it a lot of times is I do both feet in. So I'll say right foot left, switch it out, switch up. So both feet will go in one box. But both work, again, because it's a little awkward if you do it the other way. You have to kind of alter your hips to get up into the next box. So let's do 2 feet in. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. Yeah, and so as you saw, Anne had a little bit of space in between your legs, but you're really focusing on being light on your toes and that quick, swift movement to go up. A lot of it is sometimes in your hips to kind of get them up and back a little bit. But we don't want to completely open up, because if we're thinking about it as we're approaching as an angle, we don't want to completely open up and give them this entire lane. We want to have a little bit of our back leg up to kind of close that angle just a little bit. So let's see one more. Perfect. That's good. I think that was all we had for ladders. So again, just some examples of ladder drills that you can do, and obviously like make it your own, kind of change things up and get creative with these, because you know, any kind of ladder and footwork drill is going to be super beneficial for you, no matter what it is. Even if you're just doing like this through, or like the 1 feet through, there's so many different variations of ladder drills, and you can't go wrong with any of them. So yeah, so the next one that we're going to do is a couple of different cone drills. I'll make sure I can space this out so you can see. So this one's really working a lot on, you know, getting some good speed, breaking down, and then kind of similar to what we just did, you know, breaking down and then getting out like at an angle or shuffling. But again, this is just like another different kind of footwork drill, but just a little bit of a longer space. You have a little bit more space to kind of gain some speed, break down your feet. It's not just like the small footwork stuff. So. Also cleats recommended. Yes, and said cleats recommended if you're going to be doing this in your backyard. So if you're setting this up at home, I would say you want about 10 yards from the cone that Anne is at to this top cone, and then about 5 yards from this cone to the cone on either side of us. So this first one we're going to do, and you'll do all of this with your stick as well. We really want to, you know, get in the habit of having our sticks with us and getting comfortable with them as we do footwork. But the first one we're going to do is you're going to full on sprint up to this first cone at the top, and you're going to break down depending on what angle, what side you're going to go. So I broke down this way. I'm going to side shuffle back to this cone. Side shuffle, side shuffle, side shuffle. We're staying in a good defensive stance. You'll notice that I kind of, as I side shuffle, I kind of broke down and I got my hands up. You'll be like that with your stick in your hand. So you want to be in that defensive position. You're getting low. You're not clicking your feet together. That's like probably the biggest no-no for side shuffle, I would say, just because it gets you off balance when you're this close to each other. You're a little bit more off balance. So if you kind of keep that ground, keep a little wide stance, you're always ready to kind of, oh, I need to move back. And I'm not getting stuck on top of my other foot. So we'll have Anne go through this both sides. You'll approach leading with your left foot to go to that right cone. You'll approach leading with your right foot to go to that left cone. Anne's gonna, yeah, so she'll sprint up, break down, and then side shuffle all the way through. Yeah, so this one's like short, it's just quick and easy. A short sprint and then just getting out of it, similar to kind of what we did with the ladders. And then we'll do it the other side too. Going up, leading with her right foot, side shuffle back to the left cone. I would say like go through this probably about, you know, 5, 6, 7 times each side. It should be a workout. You should be out of breath. You should really be feeling it. I know it's a little quick movement, but you know, it's really good for, you know, building that speed, getting those, I think breaking down your feet, you probably, I've said it so many times, but I would say it's like the biggest thing is breaking down your feet as you approach, you know, an attacker, a cone, a ground ball, you know, whatever it might be, but breaking down your feet is going to be super huge. So breaking down your feet and then exploding out again off the cone as if what we mimicked in that first one, as if the attacker is taking us this way, we're following them all the way through. The second one we're going to do is we'll do the same thing. We're going to sprint up. We're going to approach, but if I approach with my left foot on this one, we're going to drop open with our right foot to go to this back cone. So it'll kind of look like this. So I'll approach, I'm here, I'm dropping open. Maybe I did get beat. So I'm opening up to recover. I'm either side running or like shuffling to this cone, and then I'm sprinting out again. Maybe I need to catch my attacker, because on defense, let's be real, everyone gets beat. So sometimes you do need to recover. So I might approach this cone, open up to recover to my attacker, and then just gain some speed again. So we're really breaking down at this top cone, and then we're breaking down again as we finish through to that bottom cone again. So let's have Anne go through it. Breaking down, opening up, all the way through, breaking down. All right, so this one's a little bit more than the last one we did, so it's a little bit of build up. But like I said, we need to work on the things that, you know, maybe we did make a mistake or, you know, the attacker beat us and how we recovered from that. So we'll have Anne go the other way then. So she'll lead with her right foot to drop open and then sprint all the way through. Perfect. Let's see. Was there one more? Oh, that was the other one I was gonna do. Yeah, you could do that one. Yeah. Okay, sorry. We're figuring out as we go. No. So this one, you've probably seen this one before. This is very common cone footwork drill. It's kind of like the T footwork. So it's similar to what we just did in a way, but we'll sprint up the cones. These 3 cones are in line with each other. They don't have to be super far apart. Maybe it's like about 10 yards from one end to the other, but we're sprinting up to this cone, breaking down. This one, not so much getting that angle because we're going directly across. We're breaking down, we're going to one side, about 5 yards maybe, and then we're going all the way across to this other cone, about 10 yards there, back to this middle one, and then we're getting a back step in. You can either back step or drop step out of this middle one. So difference being back step is just straight back. A drop step will be at an angle. So it was a little bit of a shuffle, but it'll be at an angle. So if like the attacker is taking you one way, you might want to go more at an angle, but a lot of times you might have to back step too. So there's 3 different ways you can come out of this: that back step, straight back, drop step right, drop step left. So let's have Anne go through this once. She's gonna approach, break down. Good, perfect. Yeah, and I think what you'll notice is that Anne was super light on her toes as she went through. It was easy for her to change that direction. We're not getting super heavy and stepping to push out. We should already be light on our toes to just move out anyway. If someone was yelling at you, move, or blowing a whistle, like you're able to just move every time they blow the whistle. So let's go one more time. Awesome. Perfect. And notice again how Anne, as she's drop stepping, she might have had one hand on her stick. That's probably like the most common way that you're gonna like, or back step, probably gonna back step, just because you're not really usually gonna back step if you're on an attacker, just because it puts you a little bit off balance. So that's more of an off ball step, I would say. Let's go one more time. Putting Anne to work today. Yeah, perfect. And then there's like different ways to do this too. I mean, if you really just want to focus on, you know, getting that speed down, you can do this too without a stick and really focus on, you know, getting that quick step, getting low and touching the cone and exploding out to the side too. We've done that where like we're testing like agility and things like that. There's a lot of different ways. All of these can be done without a stick, but you know, just to get comfortable and I mean, what you would mimic in a game, I would recommend doing it with a stick for sure. I had one more that I was going to do. I just got to take a look at my notes here. Okay. So this one is supposed to mimic like being on the crease a little bit. So you're going to be coming from one side, and we'll say start on the left side. So this cone right here will be the middle, and the cage is kind of where you guys are right now. So yeah, these are in close because it's kind of like around the crease here. So this one we'll do is that we're starting on the left side for this one. We're sprinting up to the side of the crease. We're side shuffling in front, keeping in big and seeing behind us, because maybe that's where the ball is. Someone's behind the cage with the ball and we're their defender, and we're getting across the crease, following them across, and then breaking down again at this last one because maybe they're coming up this side. They're going to take us to the cage this side, and we're breaking down, ready to make that contact. So what Anne will do is she'll sprint from this first cone all the way up, break down at this cone, side shuffle, break down one last time here. Breaking down, shuffling through, breaking down again. Yeah, they're super close, sorry. And then one thing too, if you are playing D on the crease, one thing I like to do is just get super big. And so if I'm coming up here and I'm going in front of the cage, I like to have my stick up. So if they try to make a pass over the cage, I'm there, my stick's up for maybe an interception, and I'm kind of blocking that space for them. So I'm coming through, and then I'm breaking down one last time here. Let's do that again. So getting big, breaking down. Perfect. I can't tell if you're like on screen still or not. Okay, and then doing it the other side too. So we're coming up this other way. So same thing, breaking down, getting big, breaking down to make that contact there at the end. So yeah, and then you could also mimic this as if it's maybe behind the cage, maybe you do play behind the cage as a defender, and getting big on that crease too, you know, either way. But I really like to imagine it as if you're, you know, standing in front of the cage, maybe you do pause here for a second and you're just getting big to pause. You know, so maybe they stop behind the cage and they're ready to make a pass. I'm here. Sorry, my mom was calling me. So I'm getting big here, and you know, maybe they're paused behind and they're like getting ready, set up to make a pass. I'm there for that. I'm ready. I'm like the backup to the goalie to intercept that pass. And as they move, maybe I'm stopping here. They're going to take me up. I'm getting that angle to kind of push them out as well. So there's 35. I'm out of breath a little bit. It's tiring stuff for sure. I mean, this it's a lot of work to put into, you know, these small movements. But you know, I can't stress it enough. It really does improve your footwork, and like even your quickness, your endurance. All of these things are super important. So I just can't stress enough how important footwork is going to be, you know, going into a defensive position for sure. So pass it to me. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want me to ask questions or do you want to? I'm at Maria's house. She's up there, so. Oh, I'm sweaty. It's hot out. I don't know if anyone's outside right now, but it's definitely toasty out for sure. Breaking a sweat.
So I am unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm trying to take my profile out that I just can't seem to change virtual backgrounds, trying. Oh, good. Hopefully that's what you're seeing. So what we'd like to do right now is take some questions for Lydia, and I've got one here from Bella. Oh, yes, it is a little fuzzy, and that's just the way that it is. Yeah, sorry about that. Personally, just watching this, I absolutely love what Lydia has to say, and you can hear that they're kind of huffing and puffing. That's what they're supposed to be doing. It's a lot of work to develop fast feet, and you have to be super dedicated to it. So we'll take any kind of questions for Lydia. That would be, how did you get to, you know, how did you think about trying out for the Pro League? What was it like to bring home a gold medal? Why did you choose between soccer and lacrosse? She was a standout in both. Really anything. Lydia's super approachable. And now's your time, and we only have like 5 minutes to, oh, I've got one here from Phaedra. Lydia, how many colleges did you email and contact when you were going through the recruiting stage? And also, I will say that the rules were different then. Now, Division I schools have to wait until September 1 to reach out to you. And before that, when Lydia was being recruited, it was different. They could reach out to you at a very young age. And naturally, she was noticed early because of her electric speed. So Lydia, how many colleges do you, I do remember seeing like a lot of emails that you would send out leading up to tournaments. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, I couldn't tell you the actual number that I sent emails to, because I just wanted to get, you know, it out there to everyone. You know, I didn't know what level I was, you know, at that I could play at. I didn't know, you know, who would consider me. So I think just getting it out there, reaching out to, you know, any type of school. It could be D1, D2, D3, just letting them know that you're going to be at, you know, a certain tournament. You know, what field you're going to be playing at, and coaches really like that kind of proactive communication. So I would say don't wait for them to be the ones to reach out to you. Constantly be the one reaching out to them, even if it might seem like you're being annoying and reaching out to them so many times. They like to see that persistence in those emails. So I would say just keep going for it, keep sending emails, and just kind of, shoot your shot, I guess, at all those schools and kind of just get your name out there and, see who shows up and who you kind of hear back from and, go off of that. So did that answer the question?
Yes, it's perfect. The
Okay.
bottom line is be active. Division I coaches can't talk to you until after September 1, but you want absolutely to email them and show them that you're eager to play college lacrosse. Here's a fun question, Lydia. How long have you two been friends? So that happens to be my DNA downstairs. I'm upstairs. And Ann and Lydia, kind of their life was formed on a lacrosse field. So can you talk about how long you guys have known each other and they actually played against each other in college? So Lydia, USC versus Duke, and which was fascinating. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, how I got into lacrosse was actually when Anne and her family moved here from New Jersey. And so when they first moved here, I kind of started playing right away. And that first team I was on, Anne was on. And I would say like pretty immediately we became friends that first year I started playing lacrosse. So that was fourth grade, I would say, do the quick math here. I think it's 15 years maybe.
Wow.
I don't know.
Right.
So a long time. We've been friends for a really long time, and we've been super close for many years. And we used to live just a mile or 2 miles from each other. So our families are super close as well. So it's definitely a good friendship, and to have her especially be willing to jump out here and assist me in this as well. So she's a good sport.
The other thing that I just want to comment on for those of you student of the games, I will tell you that Anne and Lydia were willing to go anywhere and do anything to play lacrosse. So if there was a local university clinic, they went. If there was nothing, they asked their friends to play with them in a tournament, and they went to Northwestern. But they really, it didn't matter. They just did anything to get a stick in their hand so that they could be the best that they could be. And so don't ever think you're too good for stick work. Don't think you're too good for a local clinic. They would do everything. I know because I drove them, as did Linda. Okay, so this is from Olivia Lindahl. Hi, Olivia. What's the biggest tournament that you have played in, Lydia, you think?
I think, well, I guess, is this more
do you think
related
maybe the gold medal
yeah,
tournament?
like, is this more related to not like high school like tournaments? I would say the biggest one out of all of them was probably my U19 World Cup tournament. That being just because I think it was Canada's best year at that age level, and we really, had this huge rivalry with the US, and it was kind of like right away we were like, oh, we've got this. Like, we are so like hungry for that gold. And I think majority of the people thought that the US just kind of had it in the bag because they've been the ones that have won it so many in the years past, both at the U19 and senior level. But we didn't let that stop us. So I think we just kind of put it all out there, and everyone thought they were going to come away with that gold, but I think we really shocked a lot of people when we came away with it. And it was definitely, but I think the biggest tournament, but also probably my best memory in terms of lacrosse as well.
Excellent. From Pippa Flom of Blake, how did you choose between soccer and lacrosse? Lydia was a top ID player with soccer too, as you can imagine, due to her athleticism. So how did you, and I remember it vividly, how did you sort of land on lacrosse and decide that that was the path that you were going to pursue?
Yeah, I don't think there was really any like set moment that I made that decision. Beginning of my high school career, I, thought the entire time I was going to be going on to play soccer in college. And I started, looking at schools for soccer, and I started hearing back from schools for soccer. And lacrosse wasn't really something I even thought was like an option to go on and do after high school, until I was reached out to by a coach, and I kind of was just like, in my mind, I was like, oh, this is a possibility. And so I kind of just started, be thinking about it a little bit more. And the more I thought about it, the more I, was playing lacrosse, weighing those options out, I was kind of able to say, and I think the biggest thing when you're looking at schools is to say, if I were to go on and play soccer at this school or lacrosse at this school, and I got injured and couldn't play, would I still want to be at that school? Would I still enjoy being around these people, or being in like this area and all of that? And so I always just like to throw that out there, just because I think it's a really huge part of making that decision if you do decide to go on and play. But I think just at the age that I was at, when lacrosse wasn't as big in Minnesota, I didn't really, know it was a thing that you could go on and play at, at a Division I level for lacrosse, especially coming out of Minnesota. So just hearing, like, knowing it was an option kind of, sparked that interest for me, I guess.
Yeah, it was, and boy, did she generate interest. So I love this question from Pippa. How do you pump yourself up before a game? And can you talk about your braids, Lydia? It's kind of a ritual.
Yeah. Yeah. So for games, starting it must have been my sophomore year in college. This was after the 2015 World Cup, the U19 World Cup. That World Cup, I started kind of braiding my hair back, kind of braiding like my entire head, just pulling it back, just kind of having these crazy braids. And I just really like energy it gave me. So I continued on to do it the rest of my 3 years at school, and I pretty much not them anymore. So it's just like a little thing that just makes me feel, in a weird way, more confident, just like a little part of me, I think. But in terms of ways I pump myself up for games, I think, there's pictures of me out there, just kind of looking a little crazy on the field. And I just wasn't shy about getting a little crazy before games. Before some games, I would literally stand in a circle and just go like this with my body, just to amp myself up, amp other people up. And just it's just like the way that I, decided I wanted to exert my energy, and whether people responded or not didn't make a difference. But just exerting that energy, just kind of really got me amped up and ready to go. So I think, just honestly, a little bit of crazy kind of pumped me up. So.
And Lydia is definitely high energy. So a good way to release right before a game. I love this question. So when you were drafted, you're the only player to have been drafted in the state of Minnesota. Very few, I think, in the Midwest entirely. And when you learned that you were going to be drafted, what were your emotions, and how did you feel? And how did that all work? How were you contacted, and how did you accept your spot and all of that?
Yeah, for sure. It was kind of a weird process, and I think especially because, the women's professional lacrosse league was so new that in 2018, when I was getting drafted out of college, no one really knew what the process was going to look like. I don't even think the WPL really had an idea on how it would look either. And, I think we got an email, and my coach, Devin Wills, is a part of, a part of the WPL as well. So obviously she had, mentioned to me and my roommate Gussie that, why not put your name out there, if you think it's something that you're interested in. So we just kind of like threw our name out there, and we're like, yeah, sure, might as well, have as an option. And I think we got like an email letting us know that we would, maybe be considered. And then the draft was actually like a Facebook Live event, which was super weird. But they just went through, and they did it, just like football draft. They do a team, they pick a person, and they say like what number it is, and they kind of go through all of it. And, obviously it was weird because it was the first year. There was, everyone was brand new to the team, whereas now they kind of have, set people on the teams that are, on there, and then they have the draft, I would say like 6 or 8 people are then drafted onto those teams now. But at that point, it was also new, and I don't think anyone had any idea what was going on. people didn't even know who was going to be considered, you know, who was even, you know, thought they wanted to be a part of the WPL. So it was a very exciting experience. I mean, I was sitting watching the Facebook Live with my roommate Gussie, who got drafted to the Philadelphia Fire team. And so we were like watching together. You know, it was a really exciting moment. We were in our living room and it was exciting, but we were all just like, I don't know what's going on. Like, it was just, you know, a really like uncertain time as well. So it was very interesting.
Excellent. And Olivia has a question. Do you know Gussie? And in the interest of time, yes, Gussie was her roommate in college. And they're very dear friends, and they had incredible synergy on the lacrosse field. I'm going to ask the final question since we're going to need to wrap this up. But Lydia, we love that we have girls on the call who are thinking about defense or exploring the idea. And can you talk about the importance of defense on the field? Let's face it, like if you're an attacker, you get to score a lot of goals, your names are in the paper. Why is defense so important? And can you just talk about, you know, maybe help them get excited about that end of the field? Because we call it a promotion. If your coach is saying you can be on the defensive end, that means you're gritty. You have a that's my ball mentality. Can you talk about the importance of defense?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you probably heard this before, and I'll say it too, but, you know, attack wins games, but defense wins championships. And I think that does definitely hold true. I think as defenders, as Maria said, you know, as attackers, you get all the glory when you get a goal or an assist. And as defenders, you know, you make these huge stops and you know, kind of start those plays to allow for those goals, but you're not really, you know, given props for that. I think that's something that definitely takes being used to on defense as well. You know, my freshman year at school, I was a midfielder. And, you know, near the end of our season, I got put in as in place of a defender was injured. And, you know, I quickly realized that I wanted to be on the defensive end because that's where I could put in all of my energy and, you know, kind of just have that rather than, you know, going all over the field and having so many things to worry about. Just because, you know, as Maria said, I'm a little bit of an energetic person. I definitely, you know, kind of get scatterbrained sometimes. So there's when, you know, I was midfield, attack was like attack and D, all that stuff was just a little too much for me. I wasn't able to really focus on one thing. And so, you know, being able to focus my energy on defense, I think was really great. And, you know, just, you know, having that, I think it's just like an exciting moment when you cause a turnover or you pick up a ground ball or you just hold someone to like the shot clock. You know, all these little victories, even though you might not get the recognition for it. I think, you know, having little small like stealth victories and, you know, being acknowledged by the rest of your defenders and your goalies, like you don't need the entire team to be cheering for you and have your name announced on defense. You know, you're making small victories the entire game. And I think that's, I like that aspect of it, especially like I'm not a person that really likes to have my name all over the place. And, you know, I always get uncomfortable talking about myself. So, you know, on defense, I can just kind of celebrate my own small victories.
Excellent answer. So, we want to thank Lydia for imparting your wisdom and your hard work. And you are someone that we all admire. And I wanted to remind everyone that we are recording this and her last clinic, and we will be sending those up or putting them on a YouTube. And it's just so fun for us at MS Lax to be able to sponsor top national players. And we have one right literally in our backyard in Lydia. So Lydia, I want to thank you so much. And especially all of you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much. It was so fun. So thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good girl.
Thank you.
I love your backdrop. Fun.